The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer panel P.R Campbell QC and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, greetings. Welcome to another presentation in this public service nation-building series, The Law and You. This is program number 853, coming to you on Monday the 20th of February 2017. On this program, I will speak to you on the topic, the Argyle International Airport, a personal testimony. But before getting into the topic, a few preliminary comments. Firstly, I would like to send out my deepest condolences to all families which have suffered recent bereavements, beginning with the families of our 3 students who died in that horrible accident in Barbados. And I would also like to mention the death of one of our brothers in the church, Brother Joseph David of Belmont, who would be laid to rest on Sunday coming at St. Elizabeth Cathedral, Belmont. Funeral will begin at 1 o'clock. And then I heard of the death of Mr. Reginald Bollers, the father of my legal friend and colleague, Mr. Graham Bollers, and his brother. Condolences to them. And recently I also heard of the death of my friend, Mr. Brian Liverpool, and my very good friend, Miss Ruth St. John of Otley Hall. Special condolences to Keon and Devon. I knew them fairly well. Let me advise members of the family and friendship circle of our departed sister, Althea Nan Peters, that we are having a 40-day memorial service in memory of Nan tomorrow evening, that is Tuesday, 21st February, beginning at 6 p.m. at St. Elizabeth Cathedral, Belmont. And let me advise that those who are planning to come to Nan's Thanksgiving, if you still have the funeral program, bring it along because it has a lot of hymns which we would be singing in the course of the Thanksgiving service. And on Sunday, after the funeral of Brother David, there will be a Thanksgiving service for Sister Bridina Harry of Glamorgan, and we would be going straight from the cemetery after laying the remains of Brother David to rest down to Glamorgan to Sister Bridina's Thanksgiving service, or the Thanksgiving service in memory of Sister Bridina Harry, excuse me. Now, I want to send belated 10th wedding anniversary greetings to my friend and spiritual brother, Archbishop Johnny Jones and Lady Jones of Chester Cottage. They would have celebrated their 10th anniversary on the 21st of January, and let me also send my greetings to their 10-year-old daughter, who is also my goddaughter. Belated greetings to all of you. I very much enjoyed that anniversary service at Mount Carmel. Now, I received a letter dated the 12th of January 2017 But I think it is better for me to leave the letter for next week's program. It is from a parent of a student at a secondary school which has organized an educational tour for the vacation. And this parent has some critical remarks to make about that venture, and I would leave this for next week. Yet another book has been published by a local Vincentian author, or should I say authoress. I will deal with that next week as well, but suffice it to say that the Reverend Dr. Phyllis Ralph Brown has published a book called The Rise of a Spiritual Baptist Leader in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the leader in question is none other than Patriarch His Excellency King Edmund John of Belmont. Congratulations, Dr. Phyllis Ralph Brown, and I look forward to sharing something from the book with you, the viewing audience, next week, Monday, DV. Now that people have called to say, oh, Mr. Campbell is back on the air, I want to apologize to all of you for not having been able to come on live. When I say live, I mean recorded in the afternoon, because it is now what? Just about minutes to 4 in the afternoon. I missed the last 4 Mondays. The last 2 Mondays in January and the first 2 Mondays in February. And I will tell you why briefly. In the last 2 Mondays in January, I was not feeling too well. Under the weather, one might say. And therefore, I could not come up to do the program, but I did ask the technicians to repeat certain programs, which they did, and I want to thank the technicians who organized these things at SVG-TV. And then I was absent from the state for the first 2 Mondays in February. I traveled to Jamaica for a medical checkup. As you know, and I've told all of you this on more than one occasion, I have 2 devices in my chest. One is an artificial heart valve, the main valve, and the other is a device called a pacemaker, which regulates the beats of the heart when they go outside certain parameters, or when they threaten to go outside certain parameters. These devices were installed in January 2014, and it would be necessary for me to go periodically to have them serviced, to have them checked out, see how they are functioning, and to effect necessary adjustments. So I went and did that in Jamaica, and I am relatively pleased to say that things are looking okay, except that the cardiologist has advised me yet again to take it easy. He felt that the devices, at least the pacemaker, told him that I had been having a stressful time for the past 8 months or so, and he advised me to take it easy. So that those of you who have called me and left messages in connection with my legal services and have not had a response yet, don't despair, just bear with me. I have to make a concerted effort to lower my stress levels. And you will hear from me in due course, but I've been returning calls on matters which are urgent, but matters which could hold on, bear with me. That journey to Jamaica took me first to Trinidad, where I overnighted, and then on Tuesday morning, week before last, I took the flight to Jamaica, and returning, I came from Jamaica on the flight which got into Trinidad on Monday, the 13th, and I came to St. Vincent, guess what? On the Liat flight, which landed at the Argyle International Airport on Tuesday morning. Yes, I was in the second Liat flight that landed that morning, because the first flight came in from Barbados, and I was on the one from Trinidad. And that leads me into the topic for the evening, the Argyle International Airport, a personal testimony. The reason why the topic is qualified is that I do not think it necessary for me to go into the benefits of the Argyle International Airport from an economic and developmental standpoint. Those things are taken for granted, and the benefits have been spoken about exhaustively by persons in authority and by those not in authority. So I'm not really here to talk about what the Argyle International Airport would mean to tourism and generally to development, although I would say that I join in one and all in congratulating the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in this magnificent achievement, and in particular, I give praise and thanks to the head of government, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, for his vision, his drive, his tenacity, and his sheer skill in shepherding a very difficult project through to its fruition. Congratulations, my friend and brother. Rather, I want to impress on you how much the opening of the Argyle International Airport means to me personally. And I'm going to share some things with you that I've never shared before with the general public. Excuse me. When I landed in that Liat plane from Trinidad, Tuesday the 14th of February, I almost shed tears of emotion. Now, those who know me know that I'm not given to public expressions of emotion, but I was overwhelmed with emotion, and I will explain to you why. To know that I was landing at an international airport on mainland St. Vincent, of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You see, during my tenure as a Minister of Government in the Sir James Mitchell administration, and I served, as you would recall, from 1987 to 1994, 8.5 years as Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Information, and at one time Justice, Information, and Culture. Mr. Mitchell strove very hard to get an international airport for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And all of us in cabinet hoped and prayed that the government of Sir James Mitchell would have succeeded in giving St. Vincent and the Grenadines an international airport. We had studies after studies done. I recall us spending hours in cabinet and in caucus discussing various airport studies, and I must commend one member of cabinet in particular, the Honorable John Horn, who had immersed himself in these studies and became an authority on the subject. Whenever I wanted to find out anything about airport development in St. Vincent, I would ask John, and he would have facts and figures at the tip of his, just like that. And he would be one of those who would have been pleased, extremely pleased, that we managed to get an international airport eventually. Closest we came was the building of the James Mitchell Airport in Paget Farm, Beckwith. And I was happy to have been associated with that project from beginning to end. In fact, when the James Mitchell Airport was opened in Paget Farm, I was the person who organized the opening ceremonies. So we were happy that we at least were able to build that airport. But there is one similarity between the two airports, the Paget Farm Airport and the airport at Argyle. And that similarity has to do with the personal input of the head of government of the respective airports. Mr. Mitchell, because of his personal diplomatic skills, was able to get all his CARICOM colleagues to support the Beckwith Airport as a regional project, thereby enabling us to get substantial amounts of funding for it from the collective purse of cabinet. It took a lot of skills, a lot of negotiating, persuading, traveling here and there, but Mr. Mitchell pulled off what some regarded as a feat of diplomacy. Similarly, with Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves. And those who have followed the inception of the Argyle International Airport would recall the stories of the Coalition of the Willing. It took personal diplomacy for him to have persuaded the authorities in Cuba, Venezuela, Taiwan, Mexico, and a host of other countries, Trinidad and Tobago, $10 million US from his friend Prime Minister Patrick Manning at the time. These things, don't take them for granted, my people. It is easy for people to talk, but real achievement is something else. And the personal input of Dr. Gonsalves into getting us an international airport can never be downplayed. Say what you like him or not, you have to give him credit for that. So having been associated with airport development and having yearned, having prayed, having hoped that we would get an international airport, having carried those feelings over the years, when I listened to Dr. Gonsalves making his presentation at the Methodist Church Hall on the 8th of August, 2005, I was hopeful, but I was skeptical, because I said to myself, not only is it going to be impossible to get an international runway at Argyle, But the problems of land acquisition, with which I was quite familiar from the Paget Farm experience, it isn't easy to acquire private lands for anything. And Argyle was several times more difficult in terms of land acquisition than Paget Farm. So I said, look, I am happy to hear that the Prime Minister is so enthusiastic, is so confident, but I didn't think it would have been possible to pull it off. But over the years, I have given the project my fullest support, as you know, having listened to me speak about it from time to time, even in the face of unrelenting criticism by others. But there is something special to me about the opening of that airport. It is this. I am not a good traveler. And I was diagnosed medically with a condition, let us call it being prone to travel sickness, whether by land, sea, or air. In fact, I can't travel by sea at all, and when I travel by sea, I invariably get bad feelings. Most of the times I throw up. No matter how calm the water is, it hasn't got anything to do with the calmness of the water. Once it means being in a boat on water, PR gets sick. In fact, my brothers usually laugh at me when they recall that one day in my teens, we were bathing at Mount Twin. We had a picnic, and I was on a tube, car tube, inflated, and I got seasick riding on the tube. So I can't travel really, and I don't like to travel. That is one thing about me. If you see me on a plane, it's when I have to. I don't travel for fun. In fact, during my 10 years as Minister of Government, every travel I had to undertake in connection with my duties was an agony for me. But duty called and I had to go. I went to Africa, to the Mediterranean when we had the Heads of Government Conference in Cyprus, to Vancouver, Heads of Government Conference, to New Zealand for Attorneys General meeting, to Taiwan. Those journeys, every one of them, was an agony. But I had to travel. And I longed for the day when I could set foot on a plane in St. Vincent and Grenadines, a big plane, not the little ones which are subject to turbulence and you feel every movement of the aircraft. So that my dream was that I'd be able to get on a big plane here in St. Vincent, go to my destination, even if it meant the plane landing, 1 or 2 times in the journey. Once I didn't have to come off. And to come back to St. Vincent from my overseas destination. So the opening of the Argyle International Airport was a dream come true for me. Not only that, but the indignities to which one and one's fellow men are subjected when you have to land in other people's countries and passing through as in transit. You're in transit, say in Barbados, you have to go through security again, take off your belt, take off your shoes, have your luggage inspected, sometimes ransacked. Passing through, not staying there. Because you come off the plane and for some reason you have to go through security to even get in the in-transit lounge. The indignity of having to put up with people, well, I personally haven't suffered much in that respect, but I know of many Vincentians who have gone through horrors passing through other countries to come home. Now, once things get going, and it will take some time before scheduled flights are planned for Argyle, Vincentians would be able to come straight home and know they can depend on getting a flight back to their countries to take up their jobs. The importance of the airport to the movement of people cannot be underestimated. And I, for one, I am overjoyed. Now the airport has brought its challenges. Firstly, it is going to take quite some time before international flights are scheduled here on a regular basis. So there would be charters in between. That will take time. There are ancillary facilities which we don't have. For example, we do not right now have enough hotel rooms in St. Vincent and Grenadines to cater for mass arrivals. That will take time. But we have to undertake and undergo attitudinal changes in St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a people to make that international airport a success in the long run. We have to be more welcoming to people, not just in the provision of physical facilities, but things like noise pollution we have to keep at a minimum, realizing that St. Vincent will be competing with a lot of Caribbean destinations, all with their attractions. And for us to encourage tourists to come here, we have to make it worth their while to come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I will have more to say hopefully next week, Divi, on the same subject. But for now, let me say thanks to God and thanks to the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, headed by Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, for providing us with a facility of which we can be justly proud, the Argyle International Airport. That is all from this program of The Law and You. I look forward to being of further service to you next week, Monday, DV, for another presentation in this public service nation-building series, The Law and You. Do have a pleasant week, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls. And may the good Lord continue to bless us all. And may He specially bless the Argyle International Airport.
The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer panel P.R Campbell QC and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.